I'll tell you how long it took us to come up with something that wasn't dad blues to play on these guitars, which 100% deserved something that wasn't dad blues. Love the shirt, Mick.
You're looking pretty fine yourself. I see the way to wear it is open rather than closed.
I don't know. I've just had this brand consciousness driven into me over since I was born, basically.
Yeah.
Must have something that says Andertons.
We've run a competition to find the two most ineligible people to do a video on Fender offsets.
Oh, but don't you just? I've always wanted. If I could have any offset ever, I bet there's something about the Mustang that draws me to just like. It's so outrageously bonkers as like, what are you supposed to do with that? That it makes me sort of go, right, I'm going to find something.
It's punk rock, isn't it, really?
It wasn't though, was it?
No, I know, not what it was intended to do. So anyway, look, perhaps we should start from the top. Fender Japan.
Indeed.
Which, when this was all fields, Fender Japan was a thing, wasn't it? It was because of the way the things were. It took the American factory a bit of a minute to get back online again. They under license made guitars in Japan. Fender Japan started to happen. And for a long time in the UK anyway, maybe this was different in the rest of the world, but in the UK anyway, the most easily accessible Fender guitar was a Fender Japan guitar, or indeed a Squier.
I don't know, for a period over the last 20 years, Europe and North America were serviced entirely by what Fender would make in Corona, California, Ensenada, Mexico, and then whatever Squier would produce wherever they were producing them in the Far East. Through the Fender Japan existed to largely make the same guitars, but for the Japanese market. And then I think sort of during COVID or post-COVID, there's just the only way Fender could make enough guitars to service the demand that was in North America and Europe was to go to Japan and go, oh, could you make us some supplementary models to fit in? So they've typically used Japan not to make catalogue guitars, but to go, oh, we think this would be cool for this half of this year,
for example,
whatever.
Something really classic in a really fancy ass colorway.
So that's what's kind of happened is there's a lot of well, actually, it's a mix. There've been some experimental stuff. They look like hybrid modifications to Strats and Tellys and stuff. So, okay, before we tell you how much we love them, let's just tell you, this couldn't be much simpler, really. It's a Mustang, a Jazzmaster, and a Jaguar in two colours, but boy, did they pick two great colours.
Pearl white and pearl black, is that what they're called?
A very sparkly white and a very slightly sparkly white and a very slightly sparkly black.
Obviously in the extensive research that I've done. And of course golden hardware.
Just, is there anything more classic? Who immortalised this as a look? Is it the Les Paul Custom? Do you think that's why black and gold and white and gold just works? Or was there a product? Was there a product like a fountain? Did Mont Blanc? Did they make black and gold? Like who made black and gold such a classy combination?
It was Tutankhamun.
Tutankhamun,
Cleopatra.
And Cleopatra.
Yeah.
So there's there's a superficial part to this video, which we can get done in like 30 seconds, which is, don't these look awesome? Yeah. And you're either going to go, yes, they look awesome, or no, I hate them.
They're
and
blinging.
That's it. But Mick, whilst you're here, you are not the guy I would go, oh yeah, offset video, let's get Mick in.
Right, okay, look.
But there must be some love there.
They're totally, largely misunderstood, or at least offsets have changed a lot since the 50s. So, right, 1958, this came out. That came out in 1962, and I don't know about the Mustang. But the Mustang was a student guitar, right? Am I right about that?
100%.
So the way Gibson did its juniors, Fender also had its student guitars. So called because they were a bit more accessible price-wise, but also, really interestingly, 24-inch scale. Mm-hmm. The 24-inch scale also made it to the Jaguar, which makes it feel quite different than a shall we say, normal Fender, i.e. a Strat Rotelli, which would have a scale length of 25.5 inches, which is what this is. The Jazzmaster. And the Jazzmaster was first conceived to try and get serious guitar players to play Fender guitars, which is why it's called Jazzmaster.
And the definition of a serious guitar player in the 50s would have been a jazz guy, would it?
I guess, like because the studio
guys...
They
wanted Chet Atkins or someone like that, did they, to start playing?
Yeah, and they, a few people played him. You might remember Mickey, well, you won't remember, but Mickey Baker, the amazing jazz book, he's there with his Jazzmaster. And it was an attempt to try and get serious guitar players. So, the very different types of pickups. People think these are P90s, they're not. Jazzmaster pickups, they're kind of really flat and wide bobbins. So they were trying to go for the serious guitar players because the serious guitar players played Gibsons.
Mad.
In the studio. And obviously that didn't work, or at least it worked to a limited degree. And instead what we now associate, I think, with offsets is much more alternative music.
I suppose at the time though, the surf thing, the Ventures, didn't they? And those guys that was the only real genre that embraced these first time round. And when I say these, I'm really talking about those rather than this. Did they as well? They did the Jaguar as well.
Yeah,
but you're right.
So.
That sort of what I love about what sort of underground guitar scenes tend to do is driven by the fact that people who typically get into that kind of music haven't got any money, and it's a sort of rebellious kind of, they'll just find what's cheap today. So typically the what's not cool at the time tends to become associated with the new wave of whatever the rebellious underground scene happens to be.
Yeah.
And then you fast forward like 20 years later to when that's now a mainstream genre of music, and we go, Kurt Cobain or whoever, it's just like, and I love that about the guitar. And Oz, who you'll see on some of these videos and works here, he's a big lover of kind of, sort of underground kind of music, big doom sort of fan. And you look at, it always makes me laugh because all of Oz's kind of like dream gear is what I remember at Andertons in the 80s or the 90s. We couldn't give away, and it's just like, and I love that. And so anyway, look, I'm going to let you explain what the rhythm and lead circuit is in a Jazzmaster, as I invariably get it wrong, despite the fact I've been doing this for half my life.
Yes, all right. So on this Jazzmaster, and I don't actually know if the original thing had this or whether they also had switches. We'll get onto that in a minute. You've got two pickups, right, and a volume and tone control. And when this switch here is in the down position, this is active. When you're in this position...
You are correct so far.
These are active.
Not just those.
And this?
No.
And this?
No. Shouldn't be. So
I thought it was just this.
Upwards is just those two, but also a capacitor that gives it a sound as well.
Yeah,
and it's only the neck pickup in the up position. The concept of the rhythm circuit, and this is the bit I always used to get wrong, is it's just the neck pickup, volume and tone on those black sort of recessed dials, and also some sort of capacitor or resistor in there to just take some of the treble end off, or take some of the bass end out, or do, you know, give it like a preset tone curve. And then the downward position is a much more familiar territory.
Yes.
You've got your
Well, have a listen
and
to it.
and
And if you feel like this is a 5-year-old explaining to Buzz Aldrin what the moon is like, then
there will be 1,000 Jazzmaster mega fans watching this, screaming at their screens.
That is the important thing to say about offsets in general. They have such a devoted following in the way that Strats and Tellys just don't.
Right.
Strats and Tellys ubiquitously, well, almost ubiquitously loved by players of many genre.
Yeah.
The offset people, you know who you are, and you know how much you care. All right, so just bear with us. Right, we'll do the neck pickup then in the non-mud setting. Almost jazz.
It was tasty. Good demo of how actually that rhythm circuit with perhaps a bit of the tone rolled back is a very convincing jazz tone.
Yeah, and people like me have just laughed at it down the years, going, who on earth would use that? Because, you know, what you want is to be heard. But of course, there are many uses for it, and people love it. So, nice lot of mid-range in that neck pickup. Let's just hear the bridge pickup a second.
I like it.
Yeah, it's great.
It's good. We're using an amplifier that just sits on that edge of breakup. It suits this kind of style and sound.
I want to see if this works. Now, bear in mind, this is a box fresh guitar, so it wants to be played in.
Yeah,
brand new strings. I'm setting myself up for a fail here, but it is a lovely vibrato system, or at least it is when it's played in.
I've just remembered one of the things I've read somewhere that Leo was trying to achieve with this, which was that you could do chords with the vibrato and it would all still stay in tune on the chord, which on a synchronized trem system, the 6 notes don't all change pitch by the same amount. Did he achieve it?
There aren't many Strats you could take out of the box and just do that with, and it handle it well. It's pretty decent, actually.
It's a cool guitar.
And it's a lovely action.
The other thing as well, that if you take any trem system and you use a tremolo arm on it that's like that long as opposed to the Strat one like that, or you do the David Gilmour thing where you go even short, it changes the whole feel of how the vibrato system
I've never
works
understood
anyway.
that short thing. Anyway, let's stick some overdrive on and see what happens.
Using the Kingsley or the Venus for that?
That was the Venus. Crazy Tube Circuits Venus.
Sounded great.
Yeah, obviously I'm trying my hardest not to play dad blues licks, but that extra bite from that bridge pickup is just killer for those kind of sounds. And if you dial a load of mid-range out, right?
Nothing wrong with that at all.
It's a rock machine.
It is, isn't it?
And that, I think that's why they end up getting used in such a lot of awesome alternative music. Just one thing to say as well, because of this whole business, the kind of transient response, the sustain of the guitar and the note attack is fundamentally different from a Strat or a Tele. And again, you offset people know this, so don't shout at me, but it is quite a different game.
If you wanted one, which one are you choosing?
This one.
White and gold.
White and gold. It suits my personality, Lee.
That is a tough choice. I absolutely think, I love the colours there. It's such a superficial thing. Should we talk about Jaguars?
Yeah, do you want to have a play of that one?
Go on then. Much of what Mick talked about in terms of the tremolo system and the rhythm circuit and stuff has sort of migrated over from the Jazzmaster into the Jaguar. But we do have a shorter scale length. So therefore meaning that the strings are at a lower tension when they're tuned to pitch, so it has a sort of different feel and a different kind of vibe to it. We've got two more traditional single coil pickups here, and I remember asking somebody at Fender once, what are these metal teeth either side of the, is that some tonal thing or whatever? And I got told by Fender that as far as they were aware, it was just a cosmetic thing. Okay, so they're not normal single coil Strat pickups then. What's
I think the Jaguar pickup was something new.
Right.
And of course, you go from this wide flat thing to that narrow deep thing.
So
sea change.
So again, up here I've got the same kind of vibe that Mick had on that guitar. Let's take everything off. I know we're in the wrong.
Is that the rhythm circuit?
Yeah.
I reckon that's a lower cap value than.
So here's normal. That's just the neck pickup, and then. So you can hear how much treble is rolled off as soon as you use the rhythm circuit. This to me sounds more like a jangly Strat than that did, That pedal, by the way, is just my Duchess boost pedal, so I just use that just to lift. Okay, so where the switching gets funky on a Jaguar is we have on and off switches now for pickups, and I think again another tonal switch on this third one. So this third switch here I will leave off for the purposes of showing you how the regular guitar sounds. So here's nothing. Why would you ever want that on it seems like a dangerous option to have.
Again, you'll often see them taped up because in the heat of battle,
here
you are.
It's your natural downward strung position.
Guitar
is like, oh, I've hit the switch and turned myself off. Anyway, neck position. Bridge. I love Jaguars. Jaguar is what I would have.
That sounds fantastic.
Even if I earlier said Mustang is what I'd have, I meant Jaguar is what I'd have For some reason, that's the only one I don't want, is the Jazzmaster.
Right.
But anyway, both together. Then, if I really want to, I can remove some of the bass with this third switch. The neck itself, the neck profile itself, actually on all of these, Fender have referred to as a U, but have then gone to great lengths to go, but don't think of U in the way of like baseball style, no caster type U. If you just gone, don't read the spec, what neck do you think that's got? You just go modern C.
I'm going to say it feels C to me, but because you've got this 40mm nut, which is a bit slimmer than a standard Stratotelli, for example, it does feel quite dinky down there.
I didn't even notice, honestly. The thing to me that I notice on these guitars, it's a lacquered neck, so it's got that vintage kind of vibe. Thin rosewood boards. I would have said C-shape.
Me too.
But it is what it is. So let's put in that opening jam bit. I'd kind of decided that I would go for something a little bit more out there. So I've got some tremolo and some bigger reverbs. I'd happily play this all day.
It's great.
And you know what? If this style of guitar inspires players to play something different to dad blues, that's a good thing. It's like, that's the whole point, I think, sometimes of what, when non-guitar players say to guitar players, why do you need 20 different guitars? It's entirely that, because, certain guitars have a certain, make you lean towards a certain way of playing, and you want to get out of that. And anyway.
I just want to try a clean sound on the old Jaguar. That's interesting. Sorry for the boring playing, but there's definitely a phasing nature when you have both pickups on, and you get that kind of. It's a really different.
It's not a position 2 or 4 sound though at all, is it?
Yeah.
You'll be pleased to hear, ladies and gentlemen, that the Mustang will take us 2 seconds to explain to you. So really, I suspect by the time you're looking at a Mustang, it's either the size of it that appeals massively, because you're going, I really like the idea, it's really lightweight, small, compact guitar, or it's just going to be a visual, your favorite, this is the vibe that you want. 2 single coil pickups, 3-way switches, so again, middle position is off, front position is wound one way, back position is reversed. So in other words, they've just switched the plus and minus. So you can have your pickups in phase, or you can have your pickups out of phase.
How interesting.
And quite possibly a contender for worst tremolo system ever known to man, which is why you rarely see any attempt to move this bridge back and forward. I would highly suggest that you get your guitar in tune and don't go anywhere near trying to wiggle this on a Mustang. You give it a go.
Okay.
You see how long you stay in tune for. But yes, they're your basic sounds. Tone and volume down here, guitar on the front. Again, it's the shorter scale, like the Jaguar. You've just become a Mustang fan before our eyes.
I just want to explain to the people, you have no idea how hard it is to not play dad blues when you are a dad blueser, right? I don't even have kids, but trying to play something else. I tell you what.
These are your kids. What are you talking about?
What immediately strikes me about this guitar is this is a kind of, despite your observations about the tremolo, the vibrato, should I say, it just feels like a solid guitar you can hit. I've always felt like the Jaguar requires a more considered approach.
But these are just wicked guitars. And the Fender Japan thing, I mean, they do a fine job of making guitars that don't cost the earth. I mean, they're not classed as like a Squire affordable thing anymore. No. You know, they'll be somewhere in between what a Mexican and an American guitar would cost you. But I bloody love these.
It's cool. This is the guitar I'm gravitating towards.
Isn't that great? I think we both are. Like, if you could have, and I don't know. I think it's just there's something that's simple. I mean, I never learned on a Duosonic or a Mustang, so it's not like I'm trying to go back to my youth or anything. No. But there's something about it that's just like.
I've never played one before.
Really?
Yeah.
It's just it's probably it's the least offset. In fact, is it even offset? I don't know.
I've got mates who love the bass versions,
right?
In a big way.
That short scale bass thing that they do on the Mustang bass is hugely popular. Can I just say we've also managed to get through this entire video without playing. So congratulations, that's it. Well done.
Yeah. Curting.
I feel like we're done, and I feel like this is another solid, enjoyable, had a bit of history in it. Thank you, Mr. Mick.
I've got to apologise to the Offset fans, really, for, you know these things, things.
Lean into it. It's
lean
fine.
into it. I just want to do one thing. I want to get some self-oscillating delay going with loads of overdrive. Can we do that?
Hurrah! That's how we're playing out.